let us all do we can to build a better future. Daniel, hold on. I want to dodge this bullet in 3, 2, 1. Daniel, you got a story for the people. What is going on?
Okay, so I have a story. We have a video that'll go along with it, but I'm going to play the video as I finish reading all this. But I just kind of want to make this is very much a comparison story. If all things were well and good in America, I would not be covering this story, but I just think that the different expectations that we have as American citizens versus police means that this is a very relevant story to cover nonetheless. So this is from Detroit, and it is about the Detroit police running away from a shooting because they got scared, and then they went on TV, and TV let them make all the points that they want, something that, again, most citizens don't have any access to. So a Detroit police officer who was suspended after being... By the way, it's also really funny to me that running away from the scene of a gunshot immediately gets you suspended. Killing someone, maybe at some point you're suspended 10% of the time. Yeah, so that's interesting. After being shown on video appearing to flee, she fled. Let's just be real with the wording. It's like when you see one of us and you see me put my finger up, like the reporter, like Daniel appeared to put his finger up on camera. I did. That's how it works. So the video shows a man pull out a gun and start firing right before a Detroit police officer flees the scene, leaving someone to bleed out. They eventually go, "Oh, we went back and got him." This happened on June 30th. The police officer, Lasonia Parker, said she was looking up when she saw someone hanging out of a window firing a long gun. She said that what she went through her mind was, "We have to take cover." And by take cover, she drove away. She said that they had to speed away from a carload of men who opened fire on a man right in front of them. And she said that video was leaked from the police department and doesn't show that one of the... I always love when police do this. They're always like, "I know you have the video in front of you, but you didn't see X, Y, and Z that makes it look like I'm more innocent."
Didn't see.
All the time. It's amazing. That never... When has that ever worked? Like, oh, yes, the officer, when they were filming on their body cam, you didn't see the whatever else. Yeah, and so she's like, "Oh, you didn't see that someone had a laser-equipped handgun and was pointing at me, and I saw the red light, but red, which is very easy to pick up on a camera. You just couldn't see it on the camera. I don't know. It's difficult." From his weapon, there was like a red beam, and this I'm quoting her directly, "like a red beam that shined through to us and she pressed the gas. So cop is scared, cop runs away. The man that didn't have the chance to run away because he was not in the squad car was shot 5 times. And also, the video didn't show that they came back for him after he was shot 25 seconds later. I don't know. I didn't see the video. Maybe it was 28. I don't know. It just seems weird. And then we hit a U-turn. So if you look at the video, it's like they're like there. So the guys shoot the guy right here and drive off. And she's like, "Oh yes, I went forward and then towards them. I drove towards them to get away. And then I looped back. And it's all very, very thoughtful. And so she did a U-turn. And they took the victim to the hospital in their squad car. At least they tried to help the guy this time, which is not what we always see. The officer was suspended weeks later without explanation, which is still kind of weird that'll get you suspended in the police department. It was later found out that they had been leaked, and she hired an attorney. The attorney's going to be in the video. By the way, that's really nice that the news is letting a cop just sit down. Also, another thing that's interesting when you see it isn't it amazing that when cops are in the wrong, any press reaches out and said, "Hey, why did you kill this innocent person?" And they're like, "Shut up, pending legal case. We can't discuss it. Pending legal base thing with this woman. Oh yeah, let's talk on camera. It'll benefit me." So... And then she actually, I won't even get to it. We have a video. Let's show the video, and we'll all kind of. And again, I want to before we even play this video, I want people to remember, and I want people to think as they're watching this, how many citizens, when police come at them in the wrong house, police that aren't wearing uniforms, charge at them with guns, why are they not allowed to run away? But police officers are. Let's see the video.
She and her partner made to drive away from a shooting in progress.
We often hear about first responders heroically charging toward trouble.
Do we?
But is that always the correct decision?
Tonight, we hear from an officer who says driving away was the only option because she and her partner were in the crosshairs. Looking for defender Sean Lay live with that officer's defense of a decision that got her suspended, Sean.
And once that video went viral, Devin, she and her partner were suspended. And look, the video that we see is only 11 seconds long. She was actually in the car. The shooting takes place. And when those shots were fired, she says there's so much more to this story.
Always is.
When you looked up, what did you see?
Okay, pause it right there.
Just someone hanging out.
Make the point that we are watching the news happily take in someone who is committing a crime, according to the police, or a suspension or whatever, happily taking them in. We are watching police during an investigation, happily talking to news. I just want to throw that out there for when any other, whenever any department or whatever says that they can't talk because it's a pending investigation, they're full of it.
Out of the car firing a long gun.
You saw that.
I saw that.
What went through your mind as soon as you saw that?
We have to take cover.
Detroit police officer LaSonia Parker says she and her partner had to speed away from a carload of men who opened fire on a man right in front of them June 30th. An 11-second video, she says, was leaked from the department, and it doesn't show that one of the gunmen aimed his laser-equipped handgun right at them.
From his weapon, there was like a red beam that shined through to us, and she pressed the gas.
She got you two out of there.
Really quick.
Yes.
That's the right.
I'm not saying whether or not that's true or not. I sort of have an issue with it because it should be very visible when there's a laser coming right at the camera. But people know about glass refraction. If you point a laser at through a window, it's going to bend rather drastically. So if you get that laser to the point where it's actually aligned with someone behind another pane of glass, you're not even aiming at them. I just want to science that out for a second.
Right thing to do?
Yes, of course.
The man on the street was shot 5 times. The video also doesn't show that Officer Parker and her partner came back to him 25 seconds later.
And then what happened?
We hit a U-turn and went to go find him, get him to the hospital.
You got him to the hospital?
Yes.
In the squad car?
And yes.
You saved his life?
Yes.
You got suspended?
Yes, unfortunately.
The suspensions came weeks later, Parker says, with no explanation. Only then she found out that the video had been leaked and was going viral. Officer Parker hired attorney Greg Roll after fellow officers went online to trash the officer, saying they should have opened fire on the gunman.
Is that the policy?
No, that's not the policy. The policy is to serve and protect.
Okay, pause it right there.
Exactly what.
There is no such policy. Police are under no obligation under Supreme Court ruling to protect and serve at all. So him saying that is just a gross lie of what is required of cops. We've already talked 1,000 times that cops are trained. If you see a family and there's a 5% chance they're going to shoot you, just kill all of them. That is police policy. And it's also really funny that when police shoot someone they know it's going to look bad on the department, those videos are sealed tighter than anything on the planet. But when they want to make fun, when there's some internal discourse and they don't like her or the way that she handled it, all of a sudden the video just got leaked. I don't know how it happened. Also, you know when it happens, oh, that's a whistleblower, we need to put these people in jail forever. I don't see anyone getting in trouble for leaking this video.
What she did do. She rendered aid and got a gunshot victim to the hospital before he bled out.
What do you want people to know?
I'm going to pause it right there just to make a final point. I want to also give a shout out to NBC4 for acting as PR for this whole thing. I'm not sure why you're doing that. You don't do that. No local place has really ever done that in that capacity, in this specific way, under these circumstances, or when it does happen, it's incredibly rare. But it seems to be happening in this case. So I want to bring before I open this back up to everyone is, tell me a situation where a civilian cop interaction in the reverse order has worked out this way.
All right, folks. My commentary is going to be short on this, but how many videos, again, to Daniel's point, where videos like this are released and there's a manhunt for the whistleblower? But yet this is okay. This is fine. And of course, there's the PR protecting this cop. And of course, the suspension comes weeks later. You know, everyone just be safe out there, because no matter what's going to happen, we see stuff like this, and we see a double standard when it comes down to law enforcement, holding them accountable. How many times have we seen videos where innocent civilians or people who are accused of crimes that they did not commit get shot? And, you know, those individuals that were in that car that did do that drive-by shooting, who knows where they're at? But when push came to shove, those two officers drove away. And I'm wondering how many other videos are like that out there. You know?
Yeah, you know what looks like that? I don't know, most school shootings.
Yeah.
Cops just run away. Cops are, we're protecting, sir, we're charging fire, like Kit said earlier. No, that's the fire department.
Yeah, fire department has to run into a burning building. I mean, because a fire, I mean, it can jump to another building through wind and you know, how close proximity. But nonetheless, I mean, firefighters have to charge into the building. They have to go into the fire and save the people and put out the fire. You know, that's what happens. I mean, you know,
Right.
but compared to law enforcement, I don't know, not so much.
Yeah,
Kira,
I thought this was kind of a funny story because, well, my initial reaction of like for me was like, oh yeah, I would have done the same thing. I'd have gotten the hell out of there.
You're a civilian,
but
though.
I'm a civilian and I'm not an officer. So then I had to like rewind on that thought process and think like, well, what would the job of the officers be? And I don't necessarily think that it ought to be like what she's being ridiculed for, her colleague saying like, you should have opened fire. You know, you could have followed them. You could have called in their plates. You could have gotten backup.
Yeah.
You could have called EMS for the guy bleeding out because that's their job.
I'd like to add something real quick. Sorry to interrupt, but you know, since there were two officers in the car, the one officer could have been providing first aid while the other officer drive.
I
after
had
them.
that thought too. They could have split up.
And by the way, another thing I just realized with the whole, I don't know why I'm fixated on the red dot site thing, but do you remember she said that it was pointed at me and that's why they got away? They drove towards the red dot. They're like, okay, increase your accuracy on me also. Why don't they back up?
Yeah.
I don't know. I have an issue with, I don't know. I'm stuck on that.
Yeah, I mean, and I think that the reason this is an interesting story to discuss is because we're so used to seeing a different kind of a story, right? Where people are unarmed and getting shot in their own backyards.
Yeah.
And this was like quite literally the opposite sort of scenario where someone is very obviously shooting somebody else. This woman, you know, is claiming that their lives were in imminent danger. And instead of doing what we all know cops are trained to do, which is open fire, instead of doing that, they ran away. And the only thing that I can really chalk it up to is it happened to be those officers' reaction. It was reactivity instead of training. And I don't know exactly what cops training is, but you know, when I really dissect in my mind, like what should a police officer's job be in that kind of a situation? It would be to catch the bad guys, right? You know, and so they really skirted that. And she's probably suspended with pay, and she's probably going to get reinstated, y'all.
And another thing to bring up on this is that, police always talk this big game of being in the we're trained, we're here to do. That's not. This is another case of this not being the case, and whether or not, I guess my overall take on this is what this woman. I think here you also really wonderfully framed it. This woman's going to has pay. She's going to get reinstated. Union's going to back her. Sure, she'll be teased for a bit in the department, but why is it that when, again, civilians are in this same situation with cops that are pointing guns at them, that aren't wearing uniforms, that refuse to identify themselves, that break in to houses that they don't have warrants to break into, why is the standard and why is the consequence on the civilian higher than with her?